So, welcome to your daily Buckeye Blitz for Hump Day, May 8th, 2024. How the hell are you? It's about time. We're talking Buckeye football, you know. If the sun came up, we're talking Buckeye football. Rain or shine, snow or drought, doesn't matter. We're talking Buckeye football here. You know it. I like to give you a little daily bite size bit of Buckeye info. Not a big show, not a long show. That's what she said, but just a quick 10 to 15 minutes at the most every day. So 365, we take no days off here. Now, if you are interested in supporting the show, A, thank you for thinking of me. B, you can do that by going to thebuckeyecast.com. Pick up a t-shirt, get yourself something, get something for your family, a friend, an enemy. I don't know. And I do have a nice hardball cheater shirt that will never go out of style. Anyways, pop over there. Everything is on sale. So I appreciate the support and the consideration. So today we're talking about the Playmakers. We're doing our post-spring position group breakdowns. Continuing on here, we're doing receivers now. You can say that this room is loaded with talent. Yes, I would say. Not loaded with experience and not loaded with depth, I would also say. So we're going to talk some snap counts, maybe even sprinkle in some PFF grades from last year. We've got two starters that are gone, Harrison and Julian Fleming. That's like 1,200 snaps we have to replace. So we have the quality dudes behind them that can fill in. But let's get into it here with the depth chart first. So most likely at the Z receiver, I don't know how you keep Jeremiah Smith off the field. I was a little, I was pumping the brakes early back in January when everybody was going ape shit. But it just snowballed out of control. I appreciate his talent, and I know he's a 5-star, best player in the class, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted to see it first. And yeah, he's a real dude, a real man out there amongst boys. So I don't see how you keep him off the field. So I got him starting at the Z. Behind him, I have the fourth-year guy, Jaden Ballard. Unfortunately, he's just gotten recruited over and over. And we're kind of thin after that. Keon Gray's transferred out. I would have had him in there after Ballard, but he went to Cal, Berkeley. Good luck. Enjoy that. Then at the X, you got Carnell Tate, obviously sliding in there for Fleming last year. He's a sophomore, true sophomore. And then Kojo Antwi is a third-year guy, a redshirt sophomore behind Tate, which we have not seen anything from him. We'll get into the snap counts here shortly. But then at the slot, looks like Emeka is going to stay there, at least to start out. I do see him moving around and lining up in different positions throughout the year. So they need to get favorable matchups for him. And then that allows Brandon Inniss, who is right behind Egbuka, to slide in there at the slot. And then you got Bryson Rogers, who flashed a little bit in the spring. So snap counts from last year, you got Harrison had 650, Fleming 550, so 1,200 there. Emeka 450, but he was injured for a stretch there, missed 3 games. So hopefully he's back 100%. Tate had almost 300 snaps, so about half as many as Fleming and Harrison. And he really showed up. He had 2 games of just special teams, but really had his peak was against Missouri. He had 53 snaps there with, remember, Harrison and Fleming both sat out that game. So Tate was called upon. Unfortunately, the quarterbacks could not get him the ball, thanks to the O-line. Ballard, just 54 snaps last year. Bryson Rogers, 6. That's why he jumped in the portal. Fortunately, he popped out. Kojo Antwi, 5 on the whole freaking season, man. And he only had 1 game of special teams. So that's what we're dealing with here. So, quick overview on the receiver group here. Um, we're not very deep at wide receiver. Most of the group will likely start at any school in the country. Senior Emeka Egbuka is back and is leader of the room. He's helping guys like Carnell Tate develop and become one of the next great Ohio State receivers. Second year guys, Brandon Inniss, Bryson Rogers, they'll solidify the depth chart at the slot, at least. Then freshman all world everything. Jeremiah Smith, he was the star of the spring game, was most talked about Buckeye. Well, star of the spring, not the game. Most talked about Buckeye. And then you got the veteran Jaden Ballard. He got the start in the spring game. He's been recruited over and is continuing. He's continuing to battle for a role. So the expectations going in to spring were that Emeka would play wherever he was needed. Possible that he moves outside. He didn't really much at all. It would help his NFL draft stock, obviously, show that versatility and stuff. But Carnell Tate was expected to continue his progression. Brandon Inniss was expected to fight for a starting spot and perhaps even keep Emeka outside. Tate had to deal with a little bit of an injury in spring, though. Jeremiah Smith and Bryson Rogers were expected to have some moments. Now, coming out of spring, Jeremiah Smith may have pushed Emeka back into the slot. Said, no, you don't need to come out here, old man. If you're playing your three best players, you probably need to keep Emeka in the slot and Jeremiah outside starting. Emeka is the most experienced player in that spot, and it allows Jeremiah and Carnell Tate to be on the field at the same time as well. So, again, your best three. Tate can play inside also, so they can move him around a little bit. And with the explosion of Jeremiah Smith this spring, Hartline needs to move guys around. It's not a problem for the Ohio State offense, but unfortunately, Inniss was banged up and had a small minor procedure in spring, so he should be good to go in the fall. And this allowed Bryson Rogers to get more meaningful reps, and we saw him in the spring game as well. And he was able to show that he can be a viable option this year. That consistency that all the coaches talk about is there. So the surprise coming out of the spring is just Jeremiah Smith. Two words. He showed what a five-star wide receiver looks like. Smith made plays every single practice. He looked much more mature than a freshman. He may have secured a starting job, and that's not normal, obviously, for a true freshman at Ohio State. The big question at wide receiver is, what will the incoming freshmen bring who aren't on campus yet? You got Mylan Graham from Indianapolis, and you got Demarion Witten coming from Cleveland Glenville. Witten was signed as a tight end, but he's going to start off with the receivers. So yeah, he has a little depth there if needed. So those guys will be here in June, still not on campus yet. And they're very different. Graham is explosive at 6'1". He's an outside receiver, but can also play the slot. His speed makes him deadly after the catch. And will the summer arrival in June hold him back? Now, you can say the same for Witten. He's a big wide receiver or a small tight end, however you want to classify him. He'll start out with the receivers. He's 6'4", probably 215, and he's built like an X-receiver. That's a position where maybe Ohio State isn't as deep right now, and they can use the extra warm bodies, right? But how much can they really expect from Witten this year? Who knows? He was dominant at Glenville, but arriving in June is going to put him a little behind the rest of the receivers. It's a lot to take on. So going forward over the summer and into fall camp, just stay the course. Jeremiah Smith, keep your head in the playbook. Get your reps in with the quarterbacks. All the receivers need to continue to get reps with the quarterbacks. Carnell Tate is still a sophomore, so he needs to continue to progress towards being a guy you can count on in every single game. He needs to be like a go-to guy, right? He'll be a starter, so he's going to have to learn to play like a starter every game, every snap. So he'll have to continue to prepare like that, and this will be a huge step up for him. One concern, obviously, is the lack of experienced depth. The only receiver there with more than 20 career catches is Emeka. That's it. So that's a sign of some inexperienced depth behind him. Emeka is in the 2 deep at all 3 receiver positions. Like I said, they're going to move him around. He's probably your backup at X and Z. And then Jaden Ballard in his 4th year, but he only has 5 catches total. So Carnell Tate had a very good year for a true freshman, but he's going to need to double or triple those stats from last year. And it snaps, just to snaps alone. So if a true freshman, Jeremiah Smith, comes in and is instantly a top 3 player, what does that tell you about the experience level of the group? Yeah, that it's not there. So a question going into the fall camp, I think is how deep will Brian Hartline be willing to go in his wide receiver rotation? Can they rotate 6? Will he want to? They've never done that. I would say your top 6 are Emeka, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, Jaden Ballard, Bryson Rogers, and Brandon Inniss. Hartline's never rotated a group like that. And he doesn't want to drop off in production if he takes a starter off the field, right? So can Hartline use Ballard like a Jameson Williams as like a deep threat, just run a go route, run a post route, something to really stretch the defense out? We'll see about that. That's just a suggestion. It's free of charge. You can have that. And will Kojo Antwi get any snaps? To finish off here, we had a quote from Ryan Day on whether or not his team has the depth at receiver that they need. Quote, I think it's a legitimate question. I think when you have Emeka and Carnell, then Jaden Ballard, Jeremiah, then you get into Bryson Rogers, who has done some really good things this spring. I know he had a couple of tough plays today, but we think he can really step up for us next year. We're missing Brandon Inniss. He was having a lot of momentum, and then there was a procedure we felt like coming out of caution. We had to get it done. We'll need to step up in a big way, and we're going to need a couple more guys to step up and build that depth there, because we do have some really good players, but we're going to need them all. So I think it's important that some of those younger guys do step up. So I would agree wholeheartedly. So be interesting to see how the true freshmen coming in June add to the equation. So I got for you today. Talk to you tomorrow. Go Bucks.